Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is BestInSlot. We're back with a little bit more Planet Zoo franchise mode, and in today's video, as promised, we're going to work on the Bengal tiger exhibit. My hope is this is finally the exhibit that is going to take us into profit. I am nearly there, but we're still losing money. I've even put vendors in for shops and stuff like that, and we're still not quite in profit. So, the Bengal tigers are going to save us. As you can see, I've got like I've built this area up quite a little bit. We also have, very excitingly, let me see if I can find her. It's not Dewey, unfortunately. Where's my, yes, Petiwi. My lovely Petiwi over here is pregnant. We are expecting a baby orangutan, which is super, super exciting. There are 3 females. I actually had to bring in a new male because my other guy got a little bit too old, unfortunately. I'm hopeful that we'll maybe get another one pregnant in the meantime. Like this lovely lass here. Who are you? Mentari. Mentari loves babies and would love to have one inside her. Do your thing. So, Bengal tigers. This one is going to have some slightly better viewing. I still want to keep the kind of... You know, people have suggested it's not a zoo, it's more like a national park kind of thing. And that's definitely the direction we're going in. I do want to get some slightly better viewing for the Bengals because, I'd like to make a profit. That would be really nice. So, Bengal tiger Speedbuild exhibit. Let's go get that started. Pretty excited about this one. And it's time-lapse time. Every single time I say that, I think of Will Smith doing the rewind time thing from... Oh, no, we're not even going to talk about YouTube Rewind. Anyways, it's time-lapse time. So, we are building the lake. We're building ourselves a little ruins. And we're going to try to make a really cool tiger exhibit, basically. The chasm ends up huge. I kind of messed around the water a little bit at the start. The waterfall did not work out quite as I would have liked, but we'll see that more towards the end. I thought the lake on its own was going to be too big, and also the tigers would maybe want a little bit more land, so I thought I'd put a little island in the middle, and it's going to end up pretty much looking just like that. Add in the water at the front first, and then add the chasm in. That's going to let us build the waterfall. Obviously, otherwise the chasm gets filled. And as you can see, I am making it hella deep, just the way we like it, because I just wanted it to feel impactful. My reasoning, by the way, because it always has to be an in-universe sort of excuse. So you remember... You see how it's kind of like broken off and kind of cracking in different directions like that? You remember how we talked about how there was maybe an earthquake or something like that, or a typhoon, and it broke the... That's why we had the flamingo, sort of the sunken fishing village kind of bit. This is the idea. There was an earthquake, right? And the rumbling knocked down some of those buildings that were built in maybe like a less ready area, like a weaker part of the fishing village, but it also cracked open the earth slightly, ripping this lake sort of half in two. Some land, shut up, Will, some land kind of broke in two. It made this chasm. The lake flooded into the chasm a little bit, but it isn't, completely flooded. Doing a little barrier here. This works out surprisingly well. I will say my tigers do keep walking outside of the barrier, and it says they've escaped, but technically they haven't. It's not a big deal. This is going to be one of our longer and quicker time lapses. The entire thing took me about 3 hours, this build in total, something like that. Nearly 3.5. It was a big build. It was a hard work build, this one. It's a big old exhibit, so yeah, sorry about the tapping out. It's a big old exhibit, and I spent quite a long time, mainly on this bit that we're about to start watching here. So the idea was to build some ruins. And I want to use the East Asian stone because it's got... Well, that kind of grey stone look kind of suits more a jungle ruins, in my opinion, than, say, the sandstone that I was going to use from the Indian build. So, doing the kind of walls around the outside, and then there's going to be like a main building ruins bit. And the hope is your human people are going to be able to look inside the ruins and observe the tigers. Unfortunately, currently, my tigers have no desire to go inside the ruins. They actually can't. I don't really know why. So that's something I'm going to try to fix before the... next video, adding some lovely stone. That is very pretty. Very pretty. I can see why people don't talk for their entire time lapse. It's been 2 minutes, I'm like, eh. Right, so, I actually really like this stone. It's got like a curved base. Things are about to get messy though. The construction in this game is quite limited. It jumps onto the grid. You can actually make a smaller grid, which now that I think about it, is what I should have done. But what I did was basically the walls are one group, and then the archways you see in the middle are a separate individual group, so they're not attached to the wall group, so they don't latch on, they don't lock on correctly. And that was because I wanted them to sit just a little bit higher than I was being allowed to. I wanted to have control over where they sat. The problem comes when you try to connect those two things together. I ended up with a lot of bits that kind of don't sit right. They look a little bit funky, And don't get me wrong, I'm down with getting funky, but It did prove to be kind of a massive pain in the ass by the end, but we got there eventually. Just doing the front here. Again, I did base this off a real ruins. I had a little picture up on my side. What I'd really like is like a circular beam of stone, but I don't really have that at the moment that I could see, so we can use these ones instead. But it got like a fairly typical ruins looking opening there. We've got some little statues. We need more decorations. Like half the decorations in the game, like I know all the animals in the game are African, but like half the decorations are as well. Like lions have like 25 different decorations. We need more stuff for tigers and loads of other animals. Lions and elephants have bloody everything. As much as I love lions and elephants, tigers need some love. So yeah, just kind of building up the ruins. I didn't really have any grand ideas for how this was going to work. It's that front little bit that I really want to get, that quintessential ruins kind of opening. And we quickly decided I'm going to do this on 2 floors, and hopefully when I can get the tigers inside, I can put some form of incentive to try to get them up onto that 2nd floor, because that 2nd floor has, as you can see at the front, like a little bit of a balcony, so maybe you'd even be able to see the tigers in the ruins from the outside, which would be pretty cool if we can get there. You're going to see this kind of thing a lot though, using like the little 1 meter tall walls, or the stone wall tops, to kind of fill in gaps that are made because of how I put this whole thing together. Now, I'm going to put the floor in, and then I'm going to spend about half an hour battling with the staircase. It was hard work. I got there eventually. I can't remember how I figured out how to do it. Don't know what I'm doing there. Yeah, so I want to put a staircase going up there. And it takes me a while. I'm not going to lie. It takes me a little bit of time to manage this in a way that I was happy. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's a solid 30 seconds or so of me screwing around with the staircase. It was just very hard to get it in the exact right position that it would perfectly land. Kind of got it up there, but I don't want it to have any path. I just want it to be a straight-on staircase, really. So that's why I kept trying. How did I fix this? Because it looks like it's never ever going to work. Oh right, yeah, okay, right. Well, there you go. We got fairly close, I think. I would say. Big old gap at the back. Got to fill that in. You can see there that where those gaps are. That's because of how I did. I mean, to be honest, I could have done that a little bit neater, but that's because the building is it's essentially in 2 parts that are kind of being stuck together. I wanted to do a little entrance area over here. So the idea is the whole thing is going to be a ruin. It is ruins, and the whole thing is going to be falling apart. You'll see that towards the end. I'm going to add a lot of stone and broken bits that kind of sell that feeling a lot more. It doesn't really have it quite yet, but it will. And the idea is that part of the ruins at the back has collapsed, and they've turned that into like a tiger viewing area, again, just to make a little bit of money for conservation efforts and to, you know, raise awareness, and also to look at tigers, because tigers are cool. So eventually we're going to make that look like it's kind of like a collapsed part of wall, and you can walk up there and look into the tiger exhibit. And it works pretty well. I'd say the whole thing comes together relatively well. I did struggle with, again, a lack of decorations. You know, if I wanted to do this even in sandstone or something, or in classical, there's a lot of things you can put on the walls to make the walls look more interesting, whereas with this material, there's just like a big lack of things I felt like I could add, really. There wasn't any materials that stuck well on, but by using the walls and using these little bits, I love these little bits. It's like a little stone wall with these little stone bricks on top. I don't know why they make me so happy, but they do. You ended up using those all over the place. But we end up with something pretty cool by the end, I would say. Mainly the front. I'm not as happy with the back. Never as happy with the back. But then you stick a load of plants in, you stick a load of rocks in, and everything comes together. That's the basic shape, I would say. I wanted to screw around and add some other stuff, but nothing really came together in the way I would have liked. You know, these additions. It was just, let's just stick some statues in. Gonna buff up this a little bit, because at the moment it's not really a wall. It should feel tough. You know, this used to be a little society back in the day. Gamers rose up, and that's why it collapsed. So it needs a little bit of a wall, just to reinforce that feeling a little bit more. That's also eventually where the keeper is going to come through like a cracked part of the wall. It's actually pretty cool as well. What am I doing next? Is it rock time? No, I thought about adding another building over here, because I thought it might look a little bit dull, and I want to add something a little bit more interesting, and then the building sucked, so I got rid of it, basically. Gonna add a load of... Do I end up adding the wall? No. A little bit more there. Yeah. Bringing that forward a little bit, so it looks more like the land's taken over rather than it just ends at the water. You know, this is a platform that did go further quite a lot, but then time overtook it. You know, it's been abandoned and left to rot, essentially. Fun for the whole family. I will say, I had a lot less problems at the end of this video than I usually do. Usually I finish the time lapse and I have to spend an hour and a half battling my animals. This time that wasn't the case. The tigers are being fed-ish, and the only problem I have is that they don't go inside the building, but I will figure out a way to fix that. Now we're going to place a lot of rocks. I'd say the next 5 minutes or so is probably rocks. So that means I spent about half an hour putting rocks down. Because it's really important to give it that broken down feeling. And one thing we're doing different here is we're actually using the, I think it's the tundra rocks, or is it alpine? Yeah, it's tundra. Tundra rocks because they most closely match the rock walls in terms of colour. It's not meant to be local rocks from the tropical rainforest. It's meant to be, you know, collapsed parts of the building that have worn down over time and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily look like part of the building, but because the colour is very similar, I do think it blends in a lot better than it maybe would have otherwise. I think that was a good idea. So you can see here, just stacks of rock up both sides, the idea of the walls falling away, and we're going to cover the front in this, we're going to cover the side in it. There's going to be rocks absolutely bloody everywhere. It really does sell this kind of ancient, hidden away ruins feeling though, which is what we wanted at the end of the day, right? This is all it ever is. We're always just trying to sell a story. And, you know, this is a pretty easy one to come up with, right? It's just, you know, ancient civilization, ruins. Oh, we had to fill. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do there, but I just make like a little. I actually want to put a little waterfall there. I've got to remember to do that. That's why I'm leaving those gaps. The idea being to have water flow through from one side of the river to the other, but I forgot to add it. Yeah, just like a little rock boundary, basically, just to stop the tiger escaping. You'd think, looking at that the tiger would be able to get out. Honestly, no escape points anywhere on this entire exhibit. I was really, really surprised. I was actually blown away a little bit that the tiger couldn't escape, but there you go. Many more rocks, many more rocks. What was I saying? Yeah, it's just an old civilization, you know, it's Thailand, right? Well, it could be anywhere, really, even Britain, you know. If there's one thing we have in the, basically, most places in the world, some places less than others, you have old buildings, you have old castles, you have old ruins. This is just another one of those, and the tigers have moved in, essentially. It's a, you know, it's got good shade from the sun, it's got a big lake where you'd find prey animals and stuff like that. You know, this would be a good place to come to hunt, essentially, so it makes sense that the tigers would decide to live in this area, really, you know. And the resourceful people of our Mai Pen Rai Park, National Park, decided to make a little bit of money from it and turn it into, you know, conservation effort for those tigers. That's all there is to it, folks. Saying that, I do end up I completely forgot about this till just now. I ended up making up like a little story because I wanted to decorate a little bit more and get some stuff in. We'll see it in a little bit. I'll talk about it when it pops up, but I do end up inventing yet another little story because I can't help myself. But like I said, just lots of rocks at the moment. And again, I think you're going to sell this more with the plants, but already that ruins does have much more of a feeling of being old and ruinous, you know. And then you start sticking some trees in. We're going to put loads of vines on there. We're going to sink, again, this is like, I know everyone started doing this by now, really, and it's not like I invented it or anything like that, but I know some people have started doing it because I did it. But sinking trees into the ground is amazing. It's such a good way to get big, bushy, realistic looking areas. And it's good for hiding fences, it's good for blocking off sight lines, and it's good for making things feel overgrown. At various times in this video I will sink trees into the actual stonework itself, and it gives the building this kind of overgrown kind of look. And you never see the tree itself, it just looks like vines and plants and stuff like that. Because unfortunately, Asia Tropical does not have any vines, and I'm determined to only use the correct plants for each biome. So Asia Tropical only gets Asia Tropical. And that's going to make every new zoo feel completely unique. Every single zoo is going to have completely unique animals, other than, I think there's 2 or 3 animals that are going to cross over, like the timber wolf and the flamingos. Every zoo is going to basically have unique animals, and every zoo is basically going to have entirely 100% unique plants. So, and buildings, and even the rocks to an extent. So it should give our zoos a lot of personality, which is important because I'm making like 10 zoos. We're making 3 Asian zoos alone. We're doing a tropical, a temperate, and a taiga. So we're doing 3 different Asian zoos, all with about 6 or 7 animals. I really like this idea. And you can see already, like, all I've done here is just stick some plants in. I don't really think about it that much. I do think about where I want the height to be and what I want my view to look like. And if I've got rocks, I like to put the plants, you'll see it all the time, I like to put the plants like in the corner of the rocks and stuff like that, because I feel like that's an area they'd more likely want to grow in. But other than that, there's not that much thought going on here. It's just sticking a load of plants, basically, and try to make it look cool and try to make it look overgrown. And I think it works gangbusters, as we would say in good old Blighty. Have to cover the back a little bit, just again for the sightlines. I've got to stop saying sightlines. Sometimes I hear myself and I think, how pretentious do I sound right now? I can't help myself. You know, it's the graphic designer and photographer in me. What can I say? Yeah, but I was trying to block off that little wooden building. It wasn't really working, unfortunately. I actually really like the look of this area, this little winding path with the trees at the side, and I try to not go too overboard on the foliage. At the end of the day, this is a tropical rainforest. It is dense and packed with colour and green and leaves and leafy bits and such, but I did try to keep some areas a little bit more open, just to, yeah. This is just the staff path. You're going to see that a little bit more a little bit later. Bringing in some tropical rocks, because there would be rocks in the area. You know, all the rocks would not be from the crumbling ruins. Some of the rocks would just be from, well, from nature, from the earth, the local earth. Not the cheeky foreign earth, but the local earth. Yeah, there's a little staff path. I'm going to put in a little staff only sign as well. A little nod to it being a zoo. Don't have many of those in, but every now and again, a little nod that it is actually meant to be a zoo. And I found these massive lanterns. They're really cool. They're humongous. I wasn't really sure what to do with them, but I really like them. They're just big and chunky, so we like it. Light that all up and kind of keep scrolling back to observe my work slightly. Needed a few more boundaries at the top. I do end up putting quite a lot more plants on the ruins as well, just to really sell them as this overgrown, ancient thing. Put a little bit of a rim on there, and now we're going to start using the vines. Now, I've got to admit, I don't love these vines. I don't think they look great. I think they look better than without the vines. I end up taking quite a lot of them off, but I'm not totally in love with them. And by default, they hang quite far off the wall. You'll see it a lot. You'll see these quite harsh shadows on them. It looks better on the back because those shadows aren't there because of the lighting. There's quite harsh shadows and it looks a bit weird. I ended up deleting some of them and then pushing the vines closer to the wall. Now, if you do that, you will actually lose some of the vines, but it will also look a lot better, in my opinion. So, I have to move that tree out of the way. It's a cheeky little blighter. A little bit of a fence on here, just because you've got to have some nods to it being a zoo. Not many, but a couple. Not a zoo, but a park. You know, and you would have viewing areas, and you would have things like maybe information boards and donation bins and stuff like that. So I just had to come up with ways to stick this stuff in without it seeming overbearing. You know, I wanted it to be subtle. Natural. This exhibit ended up way bigger than I intended. I think it's actually the biggest exhibit I've ever built, except maybe the Safari Zone back in the Beta Zoo, but even then it's quite close. You particularly feel it as you walk around to this left-hand side, you know, along the lake, along the chasm. The walk takes absolutely bloody ages. It really does. It's crazy. The zoo ended up humongous. I'm going to do a little bit of a waterfall here. I had this idea I wanted waterfalls like along the whole way. Unfortunately, I don't think the waterfalls are necessarily great. I've got some issues with the waterfalls in this game. Mainly the lack of like a thinner water for halfway down, but also the way if it hits rock, it kind of loses a lot of the, you know what I mean? A lot of the white, and that loses the effect. So I had to kind of finagle this a little bit. Technically, the waterfall makes no sense because it goes up a little bit at the edge, and then the water starts to spill over. So I end up covering it with rocks, and then we can kind of pretend that it just flows naturally because you can't really see it. So. Must say though, as big as this exhibit is, and it is humongous, it actually is going to lead us straight onto the Komodo dragon exhibit as well. So you're going to walk along this chasm. You're going to go see the tigers inside if you want to. And then you're going to walk alongside the chasm, and then about halfway through, on the left, it's going to open up into a beachy, like a forest edge, a beach enclosed by forest is what I'm going for. And that's going to be our Komodo dragon exhibit. Probably in the next episode we're going to do that. I'm really excited about that because I love Komodo dragons so much. It's like one of my all-time favourite animals. I know it's like quite a cliche favourite animal, but still, Komodo dragons are awesome. How are we doing on time? What do I do for the next like 2 minutes? I have no idea. I sell some scorpions. We actually had a baby orangutan. You're going to see that at the end of the video. That was really cool. Our orangutans are breeding. Actually have another orangutan on the way as well. 2 babies. So big success. Taking some screenshots so I can show off on the subreddit. I ended up doing like I really wanted something decoration wise, and I was really struggling to find anything appropriate. What I really wanted was like I don't want to say ritual sacrifice, but kind of ritual sacrifice, or like some holy site, or just like a hint that there was a society here, you know, that people lived here and that they would have done things. Those, I hate those. I do get rid of those pretty quickly, I promise. Just a hint of something. And so there's a water ball. And I don't know, they sacrificed into the water ball or something. I don't really know why, but there you go. And there's some drums. So you know, the water bowl, and there's a couple of people who go bum ba-dum ba-dum ba-dum, and they're praising the tigers or the god in the lake or something like that. I don't know. There had to be something. It was upsetting me. Now, the little story just before it ends. So, as you can see, there's a boat approaching the ruins. Okay, so the story is that this guy he heard a tale of riches buried beneath the ruins, right? And he knows there's tigers about and it's spooky. But he heard this tale, and that's why there's a little tent here, and we're going to move that boat over to the left now. So, this guy, how are we doing on time, actually? Yeah, I'm just going to pause it there while we look at this, because there's only a couple of seconds left. And I don't explain this in the closing bit of the video. So, this guy, this local man, heard tales of these riches, like, buried by the ancient civilizations beneath the ruins. So, he comes on his boat, and although you might not see it properly here, his boat ends up getting caught on some rocks and like sinking or springing a leak or whatever. So he hops off onto land and he puts up his tent and he puts down his lantern and he's gonna, okay, yeah, he can't get back on his boat, but he's gonna go explore and he's gonna try to go get this gold under the ruins, right? And that's what this is. That's his little camp. Really annoying. You can't change the colour of the tent. I don't know why it's like bright white and I can't change the colour. It was really confusing. And there's not really much else to it than that. So he does that, and you see his boat kind of sunk on the side on the left. You see his tent where he camps, and then there's another boat here, which is all good. It's still in the water, and that's meant to be this guy's friend or his family or something heading. You can see he's pointing straight towards the ruins. He's still got the lantern on. The boat hasn't sunk. Just pretend there's a dude in there, and this guy's going into the ruins, braving the tiger's den to try and save his friend who went missing when he went looking for the gold, you know, a few weeks ago or something like that. I don't know why. I was inspired by Congo. Congo's a great film. There's his little... Just got a little camp on. He left some food about, you know, just... Basically, he got killed. I'd really like a corpse. I wish we had more decorations like that. You know, I'd love to be able to put... It's never going to happen, but I'd love to put, like, an actual dead body. Or just a skeleton. Like, an ability to put down a skeleton would be really cool. I would be all over that. But the idea is he eventually got killed by the tigers. Unfortunately, the guy going to rescue him may suffer the same fate. It's like in Dota 2, or like any game like that, I suppose. It's save your friend syndrome. Sometimes you got to cut your losses, you know? Anyways, time lapse over. We're going to go meet the tigers. I've got 2 gold tigers to play with. We're also going to see the baby orangutan, as long as I cut the video correctly. And yeah, thank you for joining me. I'll see you in a sec. Alright folks, here we go. It's officially tiger time. I've done a teeny tiny bit of work since the time lapse, mainly over here, just adding more plants and some dirt across the tent. I wasn't happy about that. I've also moved I really can't get these vines to look how I want, but I've moved them tighter against the wall, and that does seem to help them a little bit. I think one of the reasons they look a bit odd is because they stick out just a little bit, and it creates these like big shadows that I don't think would necessarily be there if those vines were real. So I'm just gonna... I don't really like how these are designed. You can't get them flush without killing some of them. Some must die for my happiness. So yeah, we're just going to push these against the wall a little bit. I think that looks a lot better already with less intense shadows going on. So, we are ready, yeah. This is way bigger than I anticipated. I had this whole idea of, you know, we're finally going to get animals that the guests are going to be able to see and stuff like that. And this path is humongous. So much bigger than I planned. But that's okay, because the Komodo dragon exhibit is actually going to be here on this side here. So I'm thinking we'll have like a beachy foresty area, some sand here, beach, forest there, and then we can move on into the rest of the park down there. So it's all okay. It's just large. I really like how this turned out though. Right, so let's get our tigers delivered. I did pick up a couple of new ones actually. If we hop into our animal storage. Yes, I've got Arnav and Ravina, both golden tigers specifically. Really the main thing we have to do here is A, set up enrichment and stuff like that, make sure they're relatively happy. And B, I am 100% sure that there is several billion ways for these tigers to escape this exhibit. Like, there's no chance that I'm going to keep these guys contained with what we've got here. The rocks alone, I think, is going to let them get out. So we need to get our tigers in and have a little look to see if we can figure it out, basically. Oh god. Got some slight bombs here as well. So that's failed. That one's failed as well. I'm just going to delete it for now. I'm not that bothered about, you know, the signs not working and stuff like that. You know what I'd love for this game to have, though? Is like, oh! Whoops. Oh my god. Oh, what have I done? Oh, the terror. This is the problem when everything's in a group. And really, there's no reason for the rocks to be in a group, but just give it like half an hour to place everything again. Oh my god. It's nice, I get to see my park being built in live action. We need like power lines or something, you know, just a way that I can have power in an exhibit, or like electrified fences, or just something. A way to have power in an exhibit without necessarily having to stick little power things everywhere, or maybe let us do some research to extend their range, just stuff like that. Even in normal zoos, never mind this massive one, it does become a bit of an issue in my opinion. I really like how this looks. It just flows really well. Anyways, right, so what was I about to do? I can't remember. Huh, okay. Waiting on the tigers. Oh, is that the... I called the mechanic bloody ages ago to fix this thing. Where is it? He's working on it now. Hopefully he gets it done quicker. You need to... This is a top tip. I say a top tip. This is... It's ridiculous that it's not like this by default. If we go into maintenance, you want to set the mechanic every 3 months at least. You know, he'll go in and he'll repair the barrier. Otherwise the barrier will break down, really. There's not much else to it. It will, I 100% guarantee you, break down if you do not get the mechanic in there much more often than that. So I don't know why that's the default, but I'm going to change it to 3 months. Okay. Let's assume everything is fine. Oh, we're nearly in as well. I'm excited. I'm hoping, because they're both gold and they're both like good fertility and stuff, that we'll have some lovely babies as well. So, there is our brand new Bengal tiger, Ravina. And she's pretty happy. Social is okay. Habitat is 92% already, which is really good. I'll take that. Nutrition obviously needs a little bit of a boost, but terrain, I mean, we can make this better, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's top priority, really. It's not actually hard to fix either. All we need to do is get some soil and put it underneath. Okay, it's quite a large exhibit, so this takes a bit of time. I'm just going to go around to this back area, which I don't really spend any time in. I don't want to ruin the aesthetic. It's really more important to me, to be honest. Just trying to knock down that long grass as much as possible. Nearly there already. No worries, folks. No worries. Oh, no. I really don't want to ruin how it looks for the sake of like this little percentage point. And we're so close though. I've already kind of ruined it over here, that's what I'm saying. I'm just going to try to hide it beneath the trees as much as possible. We're up to 56, 55. Come on. $53, $52, $51. Does this count? There we go. Yeah, I can live with that. Perfectly happy tiger. Even the... Yeah, they can handle up to 100% coverage because tigers are the best. Right, so enrichment is a problem, of course. But really the main thing I'm concerned about is their propensity for breaking out. So, let's hit that. Let's hit habitat, traverse... You know what? I am blown away by how effective that is. I am also... Ah, right, you know what? It says walkable escape point. You know what that is, I believe? Is simply the barrier is not close enough to the edge. It seems to... I actually might just keep... I think it's okay. I think they're contained. Am I mad? It seems okay to me. Because that's walkable, right? None of that's jumpable. So the implication is they can walk to the edge of that barrier, but they can't jump over this gap. I'm a little worried they can maybe make that jump there. But I'll just keep an eye on it. But other than that, they can't get out. Can they get inside the building, however? They cannot get inside the building. That's interesting. Why not? Sweet. And there's little Banyu. Amazing. Oh, little Banyu. Loving this exhibit, loving life, just roaming around doing Banyu things, as he is wont to do. Pause. Can't play this game in play mode, you madman. I'm going to figure out a way to get them inside, but generally speaking, I would say this has been successful. If nothing else, it looks cool. And that's important. You are standing up in the middle of the ocean. Alright, what is your breeding chance? I assume it's 0, just because you're unhappy with the... That's 69%, that's not bad. Considering we can get that higher as well. I'm actually really surprised by that. Look at it, swimming in front of the thing! Oh, him. It's my dude. In front of the temple. Oh, right, I figured something out. So, my zoo is open till like midnight, and yet it's still never been daytime. And I realise been nighttime, and I realise I spend a lot of time paused, but I don't spend that much time paused. So I actually think it was a bug in the beta, not in the beta, in the YouTuber version we got, you know, content creators, we got early access. I think the lack of nighttime was a bug, and seriously, what are you doing? was a bug, and because this zoo and my breeding zoo were both made before the patch, before the day 1 patch, they don't have nighttime, and like it's not retroactive, so this park will never be nighttime, which is a shame because that'd be cool. But the park is open like near enough 24/7, and trust me, it's never nighttime. These are really cool. I'm really hoping they breed. I want a reward for the community challenge thing. They're bugging out a little bit. Where's my other one? What did I just get? Bam. You're hungry, buddy? It's gonna keep her in here. Where are you? Right, I need to stop. And what I might do is put a way to limit my orangutans getting around there. Because they always go around there, like round here to the back, and then they start complaining that they're hungry. And it's like, there's nothing really I can... What? Ah, right, no, that's okay. That's gonna happen every now and again. No, I'm not worried about that. Like, they'll be back inside. They're already back inside now. I need to cover that up. I have no money. One day I'll make profit in this zoo. One beautiful day. But the tigers look great. The exhibit is, in my opinion, pretty cool. I've got donation boxes around here. We need more decoration and stuff. My people haven't started to get this far yet. Hopefully we can see some people now heading this way. Where are my humans? Yes? The humans are coming. The humans have been temporarily distracted by the orangutans, but that's okay. Animal what? Dewey! No! She popped out the kid and then died. And there was food, which, okay, there was food, but now there's no longer. Dewey, that's my first dead animal. I think I need another feeder. I hate these enrichment feeders from the bottom of my heart. I hate the enrichment feeders. Oh, people are on the way. Right, see, people are going down here, which isn't good because you can't see the bloody tigers from there. Grumble, grumble, grumble. It's a shame, though. But we'll see what we can do. Until then, thank you very much for joining me. I will see you lovely folks next time. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and indeed you enjoyed this build. Cheers much as always. Bye-bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.